dish dinner plates on the bottom. Then I have my big protein powder. Then I have a can of baked beans. Then I have a peanut butter jar. That's like my tripod. The question is this: how did Josh and I meet? How did God bring us together? The short version is the internet. I was teaching at the time in Arizona. I was a first grade kindergarten teacher at an amazing classical Christian school in Prescott Valley, Arizona, or Prescott, Arizona. My mom visited me one week, and so I really wanted to find her like a man because, well, my parents are divorced. They've been divorced since I was like 21 or 20. And so don't worry, like I wouldn't try to find my mom a guy if my parents were married. So I created my mom a profile on meetchristians.com. And so I was already a member on it myself, but I wanted her to be on it as well. Why not? So I searched for a guy in her area, and she lived in New York at the time. Now she lives in Montana with my sister and her husband and her 2 little girls, and one on the way, due January 3rd. So that's very exciting for another little girl. Okay, for some reason, only 3 guys come up in that search area of where New York is. And one of them was like young, you know, like my mom was like 50 something at the time. So I was like, hey, he's cute. Like, why don't we email him from your email profile? And like, you could just tell him about me. Okay, so we emailed the guy, who is Josh, by the way. And we're like, hey, I have an awesome daughter who loves God with like everything in her. And she is a teacher out in Prescott, Arizona. And so you should totally email her because she's on the site too. And she's really great and amazing. So the guy, Josh, doesn't respond at all. So, okay. So a few days later, I email Josh and I'm like, hey, I know that was probably like really weird that you got that message from my mom talking about me, but I wanted to introduce myself, and so here I am. So he responded and he's like, yeah, that was really weird hearing from your mom. That was weird. Since he lived in New Jersey and I lived in Arizona, he stopped messaging me, and like we kind of just ended it. Like he kind of just ended it because he thought like it was too far. He worked at Urban Promise in Camden, New Jersey at the time. That kind of just ended. A couple of weeks later, I was on another internet site. I signed up for several sites. Okay, I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna instant message guys. And my focus was always to find a guy whose job, like your job is God. Like, that's your whole job. Like, you're obsessed with God. Like, you're obsessed with God more than I'm obsessed with God. Like, that's what you do. Like, what you do is get obsessed with God. So I also, believe it or not, I didn't know the word ministry existed. I didn't know that people work in ministry. I didn't know that word. I just knew that if you're a pastor, a youth leader, a seminarian, like any of those words, that you love God. Like, I just assumed. So I didn't know that, like, the word ministry even existed. I don't know why. I also didn't know that the word worship existed. I just thought like you get to just like sing to God, and I knew that like something came alive in me every time I sung to God, but I had no idea that that had a word, like that had a name to it. Okay. Anyway, so if you came up under that keyword, I just started instant messaging you. Hi, hi, hi. Then all of a sudden, this one guy messages me back on the instant message thing and it's like, hey, you do know that we know each other, right? I'm like, no, we don't know each other, but that's cool. He's like, yeah, from the other site. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so sorry. I gotta go. See you later. Bye. So also in that conversation, he was telling me that like he was making beer chicken for dinner. And I was thinking, yeah, we're not compatible. I don't drink beer. And like at the time, I was like very, like, thank goodness. Thank you, God, I'm not that religious anymore. But I used to be like, no, you drink? Oh, no. You drink beer chicken? No. Just eat chicken. Don't drink the beer part of it. So that was like a really big turnoff. So anyway, okay. So a few days later, he messages me back and says, hey, I don't think it was a coincidence that we met not just on one site, but on 2 sites. I think that God might be speaking in this. So I still knew about that beer chicken thing, and I was like, Like the beer chicken, I don't know why. It's just whatever. Okay, so we start talking and we just start like corresponding on email. We were both allowing the fact that he lived in New Jersey and I lived in Arizona, and that was okay. Like the long distance thing on email was working. Then we started like calling each other and being on the phone, and like we had good conversation. It was good. And then the last day of school, and when I was teaching in Arizona, June 6th, he came out and he visited for the weekend. And at that time, I had already signed my contract to teach in Houston, Texas at another amazing classical Christian school, middle school, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, English literature and grammar the following year. And I'd already signed my contract. So by the time we met and really kind of got to know each other, I had already committed myself to another school, another long distance, what it would be long distance relationship for the following year. So that summer between Arizona and Houston, I went back to New York where my mom lived and stayed with her during the week while Josh was taking Greek and Hebrew in the summer. Oh my goodness. The guy got an A in Hebrew and Greek. He is so smart. Josh, my goodness. We started getting to know each other while he was taking both those classes. New Jersey to New York, just over the bridge, like that first summer. But then once I moved to Houston, like late August, it was a long distance relationship once again. So we dated the following year. We visited, Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all those holidays. And then after school ended, I, in faith, did not have a contract to teach anywhere for the following year, but I knew that I wanted to marry Josh. In faith, I decided to move to New Jersey, and on the way of us physically moving my stuff from Houston to New Jersey, Josh proposed to me. So that was really fun and a surprise to me. So that is the complete story of how God brought us together. And I guess that's it for today's question. It's like a very long video. But I'll see you guys in my next video, and it'll be great. Okay, mwah, you guys are great. I love you guys. I wish I could like hug all you guys. Like hug you guys. Like you guys make me so happy. So okay, so I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.